I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for.
What it do? It's your boy, Dragon Ball Art 92. And I'm back with another Kamehameha reaction video. And today we have a good one. So make sure you hit that like button so that way we can trigger YouTube algorithms. So that way we can be seen by a bigger audience. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that way you don't miss out on the great content. Let's go.
What it do, Dragon Ball Art family? It's your boy, Dragon Ball Art 92. We back with another reaction video today. We gonna switch it up today, y'all. We're gonna be doing a reaction video to why Goku left with Shenron in Dragon Ball GT. But before we get to the content today, you guys, make sure you hit that like button so that way we can trigger YouTube algorithm. Also, if you're new here, we thank you for coming by and enjoying content with us, and we enjoy your presence. If you're a Dragon Ball fan, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to hit that bell notification so that way you can be updated whenever I drop a video. Now that we got all that good stuff out the way, let's get to the content. Yeah, dig.
The ending of Dragon Ball GT has to be one of the most interesting aspects of the Dragon Ball anime. Despite the divisiveness of GT and the years that have passed since then, it's still often discussed as one of the best moments in Dragon Ball. Even so, it's shrouded in mystery because of how abstract it can seem to be. Did Goku die against Omega? Does he go on to train with Shenron? Is he immortal? So let's go over exactly what happens to Goku at the end of GT. In episode 64, the final episode of the series, Shenron is summoned without anyone calling out to him in complete daylight.
Who's a Dragon Ball GT fan? Because I know I am. I remember watching the series a lot because it was the only thing we had right after Dragon Ball Z. But it kept me entertained. It definitely kept me learning different lessons, even in my life. You know, because some of the stuff that you learn in Dragon Ball, you can apply it to real life. So that's one thing that I really enjoyed was the storyline behind Dragon Ball GT. And I want to give a shout out to Smug Sticks for making the theory video today, man. So we're going to give him a round of applause for that. Let's go.
Opposed to the usual darkened skies. After granting one final wish for Goku, reviving those killed since Hell opened, Goku leaves atop Shenron, saying goodbye to his family and making a few stops along the way. In the end, Goku welcomes the Dragon Balls onto himself, as he and Shenron disappear. So, where did he go? To understand Goku's fate, we have to rewind a little bit, because what happens in the final fight against Omega Shenron really sets the stage.
Now it's my turn. I'm going to destroy this entire world.
The fight against Omega Shenron had taken everything out of Goku and the others, with not even Super Saiyan left to access. Even so, Goku tries his best to protect the world he loves, a world...
Man, Omega Shenron was beaten. I ain't even gonna lie, bro, but they did put up a fight, but they lost all their energy after they unfused from Gogeta, you know? So that's really what happened, because neither one of them, even in Super Saiyan 4, did not stand a chance against Omega Shenron separately, you know? So he was putting them paws on them boys, bro, but they were still putting up a fight. And Goku is the one that saved Vegeta's life by jumping in the way of that negative energy ball that Omega Shenron had threw at him. You know, because Vegeta was going to try to tank it himself. But Goku took the blast. It was quite interesting because Goku is known for sacrificing himself for his friends, bro. That's what he do.
full of memories with his family and friends. Remember, it had just been destroyed a few months prior thanks to baby Vegeta and the Black Star Dragon Balls. So he wasn't going to let it happen again. As Omega Shenron fires an energy ball, Goku slams Vegeta out of the way, as if he knows that Vegeta would just die, saving his rival and friend, despite the fact that he's likely even more hurt than Vegeta is. Goku intercepts the negative energy ball, while in his base form. He's facing an enemy who surpassed even Super Saiyan 4s. By all logic, he shouldn't stand a chance, and yet he does. He tells Omega that Earth has already been saved and restored by the Dragon Balls multiple times, but this time they can't rely on them. This is a pretty obvious juxtaposition to the Kid Buu encounter, with Goku now in Kid Buu's place, and with no Dragon Balls to rely on like he did back then. But he's actually able to do it, along with the roar of...
I'm just thinking about it, bro. Goku and them did need the Dragon Balls in order to beat Kid Buu, bro, because Kid Buu was giving them a problem. Like, seriously, bro. But with this one, they didn't have the Dragon Balls to rely on because they were fighting the Dragon Balls, basically. You know, so when Goku did that, basically he was saying that they had to learn how to live without the Dragon Balls. I remember them saying that earlier in the series before they even start fighting, that they have to learn how to live without using the Dragon Balls so much. I think when the Dragon Balls first were infected with the negative energy and they first seen that evil dragon, that's when the conversations came up. But let's get back to it.
Ozaru, Goku saves Earth from utter destruction, with the only damage being a giant crater, and the seeming death of Goku. Even Omega is somewhat confused by this, saying that somehow Goku managed to save Earth in exchange for his life. Everything seems hopeless as Omega's negative energy continues to spread, causing mass chaos and destruction. Although Goku's final scene coming up is often talked about as one of the best in the franchise, I also want to give attention to Vegeta's scene here, where he curses their fate. First, his home world, Planet Vegeta, was destroyed by Frieza, and now his new home is also going to disappear? Vegeta is ready to give up his life just as Goku did, only stopping to tell Trunks to escape using Bulma's ship so that they can survive along with their families, and train to one day defeat Omega Shenron. It's a fantastic moment for Vegeta, who has now become completely self-sacrificial for not just his family.
At this point in time, Vegeta grew as far as in character. You know, he gained a lot of morals since his days of becoming evil. I mean, being evil, because he started off evil. So, you know, Vegeta doing this made a lot of sense. And I'm pretty sure, bro, he was tired of taking them L's, bro, because Planet Vegeta got blown up. He lost all his family there. He's like, man, I'm tired of this, bro. No more losing my family. So he was about to go out like a soldier, bro. Give that boy Vegeta a round of applause. He was about to get it in, bro. Let's get back to it.
But Goku's and Earth in general. In a different world, I would have loved to see this scenario play out. One where the doomed Earth needs to be rescued by the only survivors left: Gohan, Goten, Trunks, Oob, and Pan. But the Saiyans could never stand by and watch Vegeta die, entrusting their families to Oob.
Bro, the buildup of Oob in GT was dope, bro. And I thought that Oob was go definitely help out when it came to, you know, fighting different enemies and stuff like that throughout the series. But it kind of turned out that Oob didn't help at all, bro. He just got beat down just like the rest of them, bro. So it was just like adding a new character for him to get beat up, bruh. I didn't understand that, bruh. So I think they should have allowed them to get a little bit more stronger. But when I look at it, right, let's look at both GT and Super, right? In GT, it seemed like they took the route of living a more of a peaceful life and nobody really training to become stronger. You know what I mean? Rather than in Dragon Ball Super, it seemed like everybody was constantly getting stronger. You know, it's like one side of the story is like the storyline of them not training. The other side is the storyline of them training and what things would have became then. So it's quite interesting when you look at the two different series in different perspectives. You feel me? Let's get back to it.
as they follow the Saiyan Prince to what they know could be their demise. It seems fitting that the only form any of them can use at this point is no Super Saiyan 4, not even 2 or 3. It's just the simple first state that started it all, which, of course, is no use in front of Omega Shenron. Through Vegeta's fight, we get a glimpse of Goku in the crater, completely unmoving. He does seem dead. He's asking for energy so he can create the last spirit bomb.
みんなの元気をくれ。このままじゃ、おら、死ねねえんだ。
By all accounts, Goku should be dead here, and, well, he might as well be. No one is able to read his energy. Omega, Vegeta, and the others are sure Goku is dead, yet he rises once more, with Vegeta boldly declaring to Omega Shenron that he has lost. Out of the crater rises Son Goku with...
That's not the only time Vegeta pulled something like that, bro. He did that same thing when he was about to die with Frieza, when he was saying that Goku was the Super Saiyan that Frieza feared. Y'all remember that before he got that Frieza beam to the chest? You feel me? But everybody thought Goku was dead at that moment. He was basically laying lifeless or just out of all energy. You know what I'm saying? So him rising like that, I didn't see how he pulled that off, bro. You know, but let's see what Smug Sticks got to say on what really happened in that situation. Let's go.
The ultimate spirit bomb, made up of the energy from his friends and foes all over the universe and beyond. Goku tells Omega Shenron one last thing. I can't die just yet. Not until I've put you away.
やっつけるまではな。
In the Dragon Ball's DVD release of the show, Dragon Ball GT writer Atsushi Maekawa gave us some insight into this moment. In that episode, Goku, who takes Yi Shinlong's attack, sinks to the bottom of a deep hole. That is the turning point. Afterward, Goku still continues to battle, but what's different from before is that he's cloaked in an aura that won't let any attack near him.
Yeah, bro, that was quite interesting, bro, because he had just got up from taking a beating, pretty much seemed like he was dead, you know, getting in the way of a blast that damn near should have shredded him. And then he gets up, pulling off a spirit bomb, a universal spirit bomb, and taking blast like it's nothing, bro. Like he's just invincible. It was totally different, bro. Like Goku ascended to a different level. He became a god. Because in GT, guys was not introduced. Beerus and them didn't come until Dragon Ball Super. But let's get to it.
If we watch that episode, we see exactly that. Omega Shenron fires multiple blasts at Goku over and over. And while Goku does react, he is mostly unbothered by them. So, did Goku actually die? Well, in Dragon Ball, death comes with halos and a trip to the afterlife. But Goku doesn't get either. Instead, after sacrificing himself, he returns changed, invulnerable to attacks from Omega, protected by something beyond. Pan even says it. He looks like a god. Omega Shenron asks who he is. Maekawa goes on to say, it might be that he died there, or it might be that he became something else entirely. I'll leave that decision to the imagination of everyone who watched. However, the Goku up to that point that everyone knows clearly does not appear after that. In the world of Dragon Ball, Goku had already died multiple times, and up till then, each time he appeared with a halo over his head. However, I didn't want to go with the usual concept of, even when he dies, he comes right back to life. I wanted viewers to picture death in that way, and feel a sadness close to it in reality. So I had a change come over Goku. Remember, Dragon Ball has always taken deep inspiration from Eastern philosophies and culture. So this transformation can be understood through the Taoist concept of Baidi Feisheng, which means ascension in broad daylight.
So in other words, Goku transcended his human form and became a higher being. I mean, that's the only explanation for that, which is an amazing storyline, by the way. You know, it definitely shows you that no matter what level you reach, there's always a level higher to actually reach. So, you know, learning never ends. And that's the beauty about life, bro. You always learn, bro. You always learn something new. And if you're not learning something new, it's practically like death. You know what I'm saying? Because you're not moving. The universe, it operates on rhythms and vibration. Nothing stands still, bro. Everything moves, everything vibrates. Let's get back to it.
According to Derek Padula in Dragon Ball Culture Volume 2, in Taoist tradition, when a practitioner has mastered the Tao, the natural way of the universe, they can achieve something of spiritual immortality. Their souls become so refined, so in harmony with the cosmos, that they don't belong to the mortal world anymore. And when they finally ascend, it doesn't happen in secret, but in full view of others. This is often represented as them being carried to heavens on the back of a dragon. After defeating Omega, Shenron appears unprompted in broad daylight for the first time ever. No summoning, no darkened skies. All while Goku is once again on the ground, seemingly dead. He doesn't awaken until Shenron's eyes glow, telling him to rise. It could just be seen as Shenron healing him, but maybe this is when he and Shenron really become linked. After all, Goku already knows that he
And that's also something I find quite interesting about the series, is that the Saiyans are not the original creators of the Dragon Ball. It was the Namekians, and for Goku to have this type of connection with the dragon was quite interesting. That shows you that he really was a special being, or he worked real hard to become that special being. You know, but it's just quite interesting, and that was his, I say, his way of getting to the next level was through Shenron. Let's get back to it.
and Shenron will be leaving together. Shenron grants one final wish to revive those killed. And take note that Earth did not.
Here at Dragon Ball Art 92, we do reaction videos. Dragon Ball everything reaction videos. So if you're a Dragon Ball fan, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so that way you can be updated whenever I drop a video. You don't want to miss out on the greatness here at Dragon Ball Art 92. Let's go.
Go back to the way it was. It remains affected by all the natural disasters, pollution, and destruction brought about by the Shadow Dragons and the forces of Hell. Shenron did allow humanity to be restored, but they will have to work together in order to go back to the way it was. They'll have to put aside their differences to once again live in peace, instead of simply relying on the Dragon Balls. And with that, Shenron tells Goku that it's time to go. In Taoist belief, ascension to heaven doesn't mean you die in a literal sense. It means that you've gone beyond the need of a mortal body. Not a death, but a transformation. And in a series built around transformations, as a final one, this does feel the most appropriate. Goku rides off on Shenron's back, fuses with the Dragon Balls, and disappears. It could be seen as Goku becoming something of a guardian to the Dragon Balls, which, as Trunks explains, would disappear until humanity learns to fend for themselves again. And as something of the Dragon Ball's guardian, Goku would much later reappear alongside the 4-star Dragon Ball to his great... how many greats was it? Well, his great-grandson Goku Jr. But I'll get to that soon. Regarding Goku leaving, Maekawa continued to explain. Once he defeats Yi Shinlong and grants the final wish, Goku goes right off with Shenron and the Dragon Balls to somewhere that people definitely can't get to, while wishing that people will be able to get by on their own strength in a world without the Dragon Balls. And Vegeta is the only one who notices where he's headed, except I personally go ahead and imagine that Goku might unexpectedly show up just at Chi-Chi's from time to time. Yes.
That's too hilarious. Of course he go show up at his wife's house. Of course he go want to see his wife after that long. Any man go want to go see his wife. You already know what's going on. You feel me? But now on a serious note, though, for the Dragon Balls to be taken out of the storyline would give them more stakes. Like, things would be permanent, like death and things in that nature. So they would operate totally different because they know they wouldn't have second and third and fourth chances, dealing with certain situations. You know what I mean? So one wrong move, the whole storyline's over. It's over, bruh. So that definitely would have made life a little bit harder for them. And for Goku to be gone as well, would have made things harder. So it's quite interesting how the world become more at peace once Goku was gone, because he was drawing all the attention in the first place. I mean, the man was so strong, bro. He was pretty much on universal levels. You know what I mean? In some cases, so all that attention drawing disappeared once Goku left. So let's get back to it.
Unexpectedly. Like he said, only a few characters fully grasp it. Vegeta, Hiroshi, and Piccolo. I would argue that Krillin does too, since he asks this.
俺また生き返ったんだもしかして今度もお前が
But he does seem a little more aloof than the other three. And then there's Pan, who finds Goku's gi lying on the ground, despite the fact that he was still wearing it when he left. Vegeta tells her to treasure it, because he knows the Goku they knew may never come back. Goku's already beyond mortality. He's a spirit, leaving behind only his clothes. This is further exemplified with how Shenron can take Goku between the living world and the next, and the symbolism of Goku's footprints being washed away by the waves at Kame House. Back to Taoism, it's said that a practitioner cultivates a dragon within their spirit over a lifetime, and when the time comes, that dragon emerges and carries them beyond. So maybe Shenron wasn't just the dragon Goku knew. Maybe, in a sense, Shenron was Goku's dragon, carrying him and the Dragon Balls to the ascended godly realm.
So this is their version of Goku becoming a god, basically. And it's a great storyline and a great way of telling it, just saying that through all the struggles and the troubles and stuff that you go through in life, you know, you can ascend, you can rise above it all. You know, it's a great lesson to learn. You know, let's get back to it.
Until the day he may be needed again, perhaps. I also love the final idea that he may visit Chi-Chi's home from time to time. It's very sweet. Now, we know what Goku's ascension means, but in universe, is there a more concrete explanation as to why this could have happened? Besides Goku just being different? In the final episode of GT, Shenron himself explains that the dead returning to life and the merging of the living world and the afterlife had a direct consequence on the Dragon Balls accumulating negative energy. The balance of the universe had been completely thrown out of order, especially on Earth. At the beginning of the arc, in episode 48, the old Kai reveals that Earth had been pushed into a different plane of existence, cut off from the rest of reality because of that same corrupted energy. Because of this, Kibito Shin couldn't even teleport.
Wait, so the Earth was in a totally different dimension at the time? Bro, that's deep. I didn't even notice that in the series. I didn't pick up on that when the old Kai said that. That is deep, bro. Let's give them a hand clap for that. The reason why I appreciate the storylines and things in that nature, because do you know how hard it is to write a dope storyline and how much time and effort it takes to do so? Right now I'm working on my own storyline. So I know, bro. I know it's hard, bro. It's hard. So I give them props for what they did, bro. It's amazing. But for them to be in a whole different dimension, bro, because of the opening of it was quite interesting because all the evil people came back and basically nobody could die because where were they going? You know what I mean? All space and time was kind of like distorted at that point in time. And I don't remember them using the Dragon Balls to fix what had happened. So basically it just stayed at that in that dimension, I guess, cut off from the rest of reality. Because they sure didn't wish for it, because I believe right after that happened, the Dragon Balls start cracking and becoming filled with the negative energy and pretty much about to explode. So let's get back to it.
To Earth to help out. This disruption didn't just affect the world physically, it affected the loss of life and death, as if the afterlife couldn't function properly. Souls couldn't just pass on. Then perhaps, when Goku is struck by Omega Shenron's negative energy sphere, he does die, just as the narrator and many other characters seem to believe. But because Earth's reality is broken, he just can't rest. He remains in some kind of limbo, held up by sheer will and the Genki of the universe. So when he says, "I can't die just yet, you know, not until I've put you away," it's not just battle talk, it's literal. He continues to fight because he can't pass on until he's defeated Omega Shenron. And after he's defeated, Shenron emerges, breathes life back into Goku, but instead of simply resetting things like usual, the Eternal Dragons come out to restore balance. The Earth cleared from the negative energy, and Goku's lesson learned. After all, Goku has always been the center of these events, leading to the overuse of the Dragon Balls. From the Saiyans to Frieza, Cell, Buu, Baby, the Shadow Dragons, it all traces back to Goku. And he does take responsibility. The old Kai also blamed.
Yeah, man. Goku's the only reason why most of the enemies appeared. You know what I mean? Goku is the reason why oh man, it's not coming to me, but it'll come to me. But yeah, Goku is the reason why Vegeta and them even came to Earth. You know what I'm saying? In the Saiyan saga. You know what I mean? They were looking for Goku at first. And then once they found out about the Dragon Balls, that really gave them a reason to come to Earth. You know, and dealing with, you know, Cell, Buu, and etc. Well, Buu is different. Buu is already on Earth. You know, and the Supreme Kais and them actually got Goku involved in that fight. So there were some fights that Goku and them, you know, did not start, but 9 times out of 10, bro, Goku was the reason why most of the enemies were there. But let's get back to it.
Bulma just as equally for creating the Dragon Radar, so maybe she should be leaving on her own dragon. Anyways, that's why Shenron doesn't just grant a wish and vanish. It's as if the dragon itself recognizes Goku's role in all of this, becoming one and passing on the guardianship. Goku didn't just go away, he became something more. A spirit tied to the Dragon Balls themselves, watching from beyond and waiting for the world that no longer needs miracles to solve its problems. Masako Nozawa, Goku's original Japanese voice, also had her own similar input on what this scene represented. The scene where, after Goku finishes fighting, he rides on Shenlong and says, "Shenlong's back sure as warm." That's because riding on Shenlong means that Goku is going to leave this world and go to the world of the gods. I was glad that they didn't write it plainly that he died though. I feel that Goku probably went to Shenlong's place and is training again. So, the common consensus is that Goku fell in battle, but ascended beyond life and death, going to a different plane of existence with Shenron. What's interesting is that this scene of Goku's transcendence was one of the first things they planned from the very start of Dragon Ball GT, as producer Kozo Morishita explained in the Dragon Box. With that last scene, right from when Dragon Ball GT began, we had decided, let's do it like this, not knowing whether he's alive or dead. It was precisely because that scene had already been decided upon that we were able to have Goku make this impressive appearance at the end of the TV special. That special, known in English as Hero's Legacy or the 100 Years Later special, is interesting because it aired months before the series ended. That's why it starts with a recap of the defeat of Baby rather than Omega Shenron. It focuses on Goku Jr. going on a quest for the 4-star Dragon Ball to try and save his sick grandmother.
If you got the DVDs of Dragon Ball GT, you've seen these episodes. And these episodes was pretty decent to me, bro. I mean, it gave good storylines. They had decent fights. It kind of showed Goku and Vegeta reincarnated into their grandchildren. And it was quite interesting. And Pan was old, bro. You know, and it just basically the storyline to me just remind me a lot of just being a child, bro. It brings back so much memories for me. I think that's what keeps me addicted to watching Dragon Ball, because it reminds me of me having a youthful spirit, bro. You know, and it takes me to a place of peace. So that's why I believe I love Dragon Ball. Leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what's your reason for continuing to watch Dragon Ball or to keep up or follow it. Let's get back to it.
Pan, through some dangerous adventures where he moves from a normal world to one filled with monsters and witches, Goku Jr. finds the Dragon Ball, active once more. But it doesn't work. He doesn't even know that he needs all 7 until Goku himself appears. In a sense, he is there as the guardian of the Dragon Balls he once left with. This story is much more grounded than the usual. Goku Jr. is just a kid like anyone else. Sure, he's a little bit proficient in martial arts, but not by much. This brings me to another point about the ending of GT, which I think weaves well into the special. My friend Alfie over at The Geek for Fun said something that stuck with me. It's not just Goku saying goodbye, it's us, the audience, saying goodbye to Dragon Ball as we knew it. The world of Dragon Ball GT has already changed. The fashion becomes more grounded, the buildings, the technology, the people, they feel more like ours. They have cell phones, Vegeta's wearing normal clothes, etc. It's less mystical. The Dragon Ball world is slowly becoming our own. And in that world, Goku is the last spark of the fantastical, the final remnant of a mythic age. And when he leaves, in a way, the magic goes with him. But then, a century later, Goku Jr. picks up that mantle, a kid who's practically just us. Remember, Dragon Ball had been going for 11 plus years,
And us fans are still keeping the Dragon Ball magic alive. But he was right, man, because it felt like Dragon Ball was becoming more modern at that time. And the magic of the past was disappearing. And when Goku had left, all the magic pretty much was gone and everything became just basically normal. You know what I'm saying? Let's get back to it.
at the point GT ended. The kids who watched Goku from the start were likely adults by now. They had started to watch the show around Goku Jr.'s age, and new younger kids were getting into it too. So the world of the special feels more realistic, with more dirt roads, normal cars. At first, he faces dangers which any kid could, from bullying to getting picked up by a bad stranger. Sure, there's still some elements of the Dragon Ball we knew, like some of the architecture, but it looks like the end of GT, where so much of the world had to be rebuilt, did have some kind of reset to Earth. He doesn't have this Saiyan legacy around him beyond just Pan. He's just a scared, awkward, kind-hearted boy who knows about the Dragon Balls but only as a legend. And when he taps into that legend, when he earns his strength, the magic returns. In the form of monsters, Super Saiyan, and the 4-star Dragon Ball. The message at the end of GT is clear. You have to do it without the Dragon Balls. You have to do it without Goku. And maybe we're supposed to. Because Goku can't solve all our problems, but his story can give us strength. This makes it even more heartwarming when Goku finally appears before the desperate Goku Jr., encouraging him to keep his head.
When Goku did come back in the series, I was like, that's dope. But it would have been more dope if we could have seen how strong that he became throughout that time, or even had a glimpse of his training, because we know he had to be doing some training, bro. If he ascended to the next level, bro, you know how Goku is, bro. He ain't gonna stop training just because he ascended. But they didn't give us none of that. You know, it was more of a it was more like a family type of episode, which I still appreciated. You know what I mean? For Goku to show up. And it was just like, well, how did that even occur? Like, did they allow him to come back to Earth? Or is he just have the ability to travel in and out dimensions freely? Quite interesting, right? Let's get back to it.
Held high, proud of him for being brave. The Dragon Balls were needed to save Pan, but the journey did give Goku Jr. the strength he needed. The lesson Goku learned about not having to rely on the Dragon Balls was passed on. And in that final episode, Goku pays that future world one final visit, where Pan and the audience get that last glimpse of him, waving us goodbye until we meet again. It's as if Goku became something beyond human, or Saiyan, I guess. Not a god in a literal sense, but a guiding spirit for future generations. A being who's done his part, and can now rest, watching over the world that no longer needs him. Which, honestly, as someone who has been inspired, and knows so many people who've been inspired by Goku, feels very heartfelt. To know that, despite Goku's story being over, I can take those lessons, memories, and fun with me along the way is very comforting. Of course, Goku did come back. He came back many, many times. But for a long time, this really was it for Dragon Ball. Yes, Goku's stories are never ending, because there is always one more step to climb, one more foe stronger than yourself to overcome. But when the time truly comes for Dragon Ball to end, I hope Goku isn't remembered as just a hero, but a reminder that there's always a new level to reach, and someone worth protecting. So maybe Goku didn't just ascend, maybe he became the Dragon Ball we carry with us. That symbol of growth, of hope, of never giving up. He sacrificed himself and ascended, leaving humanity to learn and grow on its own, without him nor the Dragon Balls. So he could do what he does best, train forevermore in a realm of gods. I also want to give a huge thank you to the channel supporters. If you
Hey, that's it for the video. But I want to say this. In life, we always have some type of hurdle, some type of problem or issue that we have to overcome. Remember, you can overcome it, bro. You can do anything when you put your mind to it. Anything is possible, bro. And I love Dragon Ball for showing us to never give up, to always believe in yourself. You feel me? But that was a good theory video. I want to give Smug Stick, excuse me, a round of applause for a great job with breaking it down and giving us that theory. I like these theory videos, bro. You know, the breakdown videos, because it gives us a different aspect to look at Dragon Ball at. You know, and for me, it helps me with my story writing. So that way, you know, I can expand the way that I think when it comes to what I'm going to put in my storyline. You know, because things don't just come together, bro. Things line up for you. That's just how the universe works. But that's it for the video today, you guys. I want to thank you guys for coming through and checking me out today. I always enjoy spending time and hanging out with you guys and watching Dragon Ball videos, you know. And I just want you guys to always believe in yourself, because ain't nobody else gonna do it, man. Dragon Ball Art 92. I'm out, y'all. Peace.
I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for.